In this masterpiece, there is more than color and technique. Beneath the surface lie fear, ambition, and power, hidden in the shadows of history. Welcome to Museum Mysteries.
Arcimboldo was born in Milan in the middle of the 16th century, and from a very young age, he understood that the image could be a riddle, a doorway, and a mirror at the same time. He first worked on stained glass and frescoes for temples in northern Italy, and later ascended to the spaces where imagination became both protocol and state, the imperial court of the Habsburgs. There his craft grew into a laboratory where botanical erudition, mannerist humor, political allegory, and scientific wonder intertwined seamlessly. His name became forever linked to portraits that look like games and are in fact visual treatises on the world. In them, a human face emerges from fruits, flowers, roots, grains, bark, ears of wheat, and leaves. At first sight they amuse, then they intrigue, and finally they reveal a rigorous symbolic architecture. Among all those portraits, one shines like a multiple sun for its political ambition and natural poetry. Vertumnus, the metamorphosis of Emperor Rudolf II into the Roman god of the seasons, fruits, and change. A work that condenses in a single visage the entirety of the year, the fertility of the earth, and the promise of a government in harmony with the order of the cosmos. The portrait was conceived in the Hermetic Prague of Rudolf II, a city turned into a universal cabinet of wonders. There gathered alchemists, astronomers, botanists, and painters. There they sought the secret of matter and the cipher of power. Arcimboldo had served earlier in Vienna, and his ingenuity had fascinated princes with seasonal series and compositions that made the human body into a catalogue of nature. But this time he took artifice to a higher plane. It was no longer merely about representing a sovereign. It was about clothing him in the very skin of the world, about declaring him Lord of Metamorphosis. Vertumnus belongs to a mythological lineage that rules change and knows how to become tree, youth, old man, breeze, and storm. On the canvas, the monarch is that deity, his forehead a basket of early fruits, his cheeks autumn apples, his nose a thick pear, his beard ripe clusters of grapes, his hair loaded branches, his ears corn cobs, his chest a still life of grains. Everything is painted with encyclopedic precision and theatrical grace. The dark background pushes the head toward the viewer, and the chiaroscuro models every vegetal volume as if it were living marble. Nothing in that face is whimsical. Every element was chosen to say something. Variety speaks of abundance. The fruits of summer and autumn promise harvests. The roots affirm stability. The flowers announce renewal. The crown of wheat and grapes raises fertility to a throne's attribute. There is a politics of the garden and of the granary. The emperor appears as guarantor of the wheel of the year, mediator between the science that classifies and the earth that gives, guardian of an order that protects the fragile and celebrates the multiple. Two tensions traverse the image and make it modern. The first between the ephemeral and the enduring fruits decay, but the empire aspires to permanence. The second between the natural and the cultural, the human face born of pieces from market and orchard. Suddenly we understand that power is made of the same matter that makes bread and wine, that a crown can be a harvest, and that politics without seasons is soulless. Around this portrait beats the biography of an imperial collector who wanted to make the world a cabinet. Rudolf II gathered astronomical clocks, strange minerals, curiosities from overseas, automatons, and bistures. His court was a republic of scholars, and also a theater of shadows, where astrology conversed with anatomy. Vertumnus grew in that atmosphere. It was born not only as a homage, but as a thesis. The monarch recognizes himself in the god who changes shape, and Arcimboldo molds him as the result of the entire year. The work is not a simple game of wit. It is a state portrait that trusts in the pedagogical power of images. It asks what it means to rule when nature dictates the rhythm, and answers that to govern is to order abundance, to favor flourishing, to care for the seed, and to guard the memory of cycles. The history of the painting is also a novel of journeys and lootings. When the 30 Years' War dismantled the library and the collections of Rudolf II, many pieces left as spoils toward the north, Among them this portrait, which would end up in Sweden. The canvas is preserved today in Skokloster Castle, by a serene lake, far from Prague, but still surrounded by arms, tapestries, and curiosities that dialogue with its spirit. That itinerary contributes to its myth. The deity of the seasons crossed borders and survived political winters. Each displacement added layers of meaning. The image of an emperor made of fruit became an emblem of power that mutates and endures, and also of culture that migrates and remakes itself, as if the portrait itself were a minor god of transformation. Recent technical study deepened the wonder, analyses with raking light, three-dimensional profiling, and microchemistry removed repaintings and oxidized varnishes that had dulled the original palette. The surface regained transparency and precision. The excellence of the priming and the underdrawing was confirmed. Small compositional corrections were identified to harmonize the whole. Nothing superfluous, nothing missing. The vegetal skin of the emperor breathed again. Through these restorations, we better understand Archimboldo's process. He begins by arranging masses, placing the large fruits as bones of the face. Upon that structure, he adds meticulous details, drops of dew, veins of leaves, corn silk, the faint gleam on a cherry. The painter's hand vibrates between taxonomy and theater. His discipline does not cancel humor. His humor does not annul solemnity. That double fidelity is the signature of his genius. Interpretations of Vertumnus have changed over the centuries. In his time, some courtiers considered it a divertimento, a salon scherzo meant to fascinate the educated. Others saw clearly the political allegory and praised the agricultural metaphor of good governance. During the following centuries, classical taste relegated the work to the realm of curiosities. Romanticism rescued its strangeness, and the 20th century celebrated it as a prelude to surrealism. Artists who loved dream and double meaning saw in Archimboldo a sea painting, where everyday objects become a face, and the face of power dissolves in a summer market. Today, cultural criticism adds ecological and philosophical layers, asking about the bond between humanity and nature, about the fragility of abundance, about the temptation to reduce life to inventory. Some rate a subtle warning: the fruit that shines today will fall tomorrow. Wealth without care becomes ruin. The wheel of the seasons is also an ethical wheel. There is no explicit taboo nor open scandal in its history. However, the work overturns hierarchies by turning the emperor into a mosaic of humble things. This is not mockery but poetic inversion. Greatness is born of smallness. The crown is woven with grains and flowers, the face nourished by what sustains tables and peasants. The official portraits of its time sought to idealize anatomy. Vertumnus idealizes the orchard, naming the everyday as sacred. That operation could have been both disconcerting and inspiring at court. The message was clear: the kingdom will be fertile if the throne understands the earth, prosperous if it respects the cycle. Some scholars suggest that the presence of fruits from diverse origins, some newly known in Europe, alludes to trade routes and the expansion of knowledge. The idea that power is also a network of exchanges, bringing distant flavors to the table. The internal structure of the portrait functions as a ritual wheel. The elements of spring celebrate beginnings and tenderness. Those of summer expand plenitude. Those of autumn consolidate. Those of winter recall root and reserve. The imperial head synthesizes that sequence, at once agricultural calendar and map of the body. Archimboldo commands a silent grammar that the viewer learns to read without realizing it. The curve of a pumpkin hints at a cheekbone. The shadow of a plum rounds the chin. The vein of a leaf defines an eyelid. The painter's intelligence lies in aligning anatomy with botany, human nature with nature itself. In that coincidence, the portrait becomes a liturgy of metamorphosis. The dark background and the frontal bust serve a theatrical purpose. They remove distraction, forcing the gaze to accept the paradox as natural. The brushstroke is smooth and disciplined. Archimboldo shows no emotional gesture, only control and dry humor. That is why the strangeness never fades. The eye roams the pieces, discovering new details each time. A hidden nut, a hinted insect, a flower that is both beard and crown. The playful coexists with the solemn. The portrait offers itself as riddle and promise, each recognition a small triumph for the viewer, each surprise a renewed reading. One looks at the painting as one might stroll through a garden that never fully repeats its shadows. The Swedish provenance added chapters of careful preservation and exhibitions that turned it into the emblem of the castle that guards it. Scholarly studies and catalogues underlined its central place in Archimboldo's oeuvre. The painting became a bridge among disciplines, speaking to art historians, botanists, philosophers of the image, historians of science, and curators who imagine the museum as a modern cabinet of wonders. In galleries devoted to mannerism, the work explains the taste for the artificial and the intellectual whim. Shown beside still lifes, it reveals the hidden kinship between portrait and bounty. Placed within surrealism, it smiles as an ancestor greeting its grandchildren. A more intimate reading understands Vertumnus as a meditation on identity. The portrait suggests that what we call the self is a sum of seasons and fragments, that the face is an architecture of circumstances and gifts, that we are the result of harvests and climates, of markets and fields. The emperor becomes a metaphor for everyone. We change skin through the year, we rebuild ourselves with different fruits. No face endures, all are variations of one pulse. Archimboldo anticipates with wit a philosophical intuition we now embrace, that identity is not statue but garden. The attentive observer also perceives a hidden homage to the knowledge of his age. The botanists who classified, the gardeners who grafted, the horticulturists who experimented with seeds and soils, the merchants who brought news of spices and plants from distant lands. The painter unites those forces in a solar head, thanking both earth and study, calculation and miracle. The entire painting is a toast to observing intelligence, to labor that tends, to patience that waits for ripeness. The result is not a dead sum but a breathing symphony. Among the cultural echoes it inspired stretches a long wake. Poets have invoked it to speak of faces made of memory. Filmmakers cite it when crafting creatures from objects. Designers recall it when weaving flower crowns in seasonal campaigns. Even popular culture has adopted its image in posters, covers, and cartoons that play with the idea that the face of power is a fair of flavors. Every reinterpretation confirms its vitality. Vertumnus never exhausts itself because it is not a single face but the entire parade of life passing through a serene mask. Thus we understand why, centuries later, the portrait keeps its magnetism. It does not depend on the emperor's biography but on the truth of cycles. As long as there are springs and harvests, as long as a market offers fresh fruit, as long as a kitchen gives thanks for daily bread, this image will continue to say something essential, that we are children of what grows, that power without garden is arrogance, that culture without season is a lamp without oil. That is why the work moves us, because each of us recognizes on our table a domestic version of that crown, because each has felt the fear of scarcity and the relief of harvest, because each understands that change rules. In its apparent playfulness, the painting is as serious as an oath. It says it softly, the world is fruit, root, grain, and time. The face that governs cannot forget that grammar. Archimboldo reminds us with delicacy and firmness. For a monarch who loved the strange and the rare, the painter offered a lesson in humility and glory. You are great because you are made of humble things. You are unique because you are composed of hundreds of small lives. Forget that truth, and the portrait breaks. You cease to be Vertumnus and become only a name. Remember it, and you will be seasons, abundance, the governance of the rhythm that sustains the world. When the viewer leaves the room after contemplating the canvas, they usually carry a smile and a question. How did the painter make a sum of objects become a person? The answer is not only technical, it is an ethic of attention. Archimboldo looked at each piece with specific love, allowed each fruit to be itself before turning it into part of a whole. He did not erase its identity. He made it converse with others. From that dialogue arises harmony. From that harmony, humanity. That is perhaps the most secret teaching of Vertumnus. Community as portrait. politics as the art of combining differences until they form a dignified and luminous face. And if we speak of hidden symbols, we can hear a subtle music in the combination of species. Some speak of the East and of new roots, others of the familiar European fields. Some evoke sweetness, others medicinal bitterness. Together they propose a diet of the spirit, good government as balanced table, culture as salad of memories, ethics as harvest that honors both gardener and rain. The wonder grows when we realize that the painting shows no court, no architectural background, no pomp, only theatrical darkness, and a head of the world. The simplicity of the stage gives all the glory to the idea and to painting itself. That is why it endures. Thus ends this journey through the portrait of the seasons, a work born in a time that made knowledge a celebration and power, an agricultural metaphor, a work that changed hands and kingdoms, but not meaning, for its meaning is older and newer than all kingdoms. Life changes, fruit ripens and falls, the year turns, art listens and paints. Arcimboldo fixed in one face the breathing of the world and gave us an image that never stops transforming within us. Each time we look at it, the season begins again. Vertumnus is much more than a mannerist extravagance. It is a meditation on power and fragility, an affirmation that the human and natural worlds are not separate realms but mirrors that reflect each other. In every fruit and every leaf that compose the emperor's face beats the conviction that to rule time and seasons is to understand their rhythm and their limit. Arcimboldo, with discreet humor and scientific precision, offers a portrait that both praises and warns. Abundance requires care, fertility demands balance. The order of nature cannot be ruled by decree, it must be honored with respect. In its apparent game, the artist achieved one of the most powerful metaphors of the late Renaissance. Vertumnus shows that every human form is made of the same matter as the earth: apple flesh, peach bone, wheat skin. Within that identification lies a philosophical truth that centuries have not eroded. Humankind is part of nature, not its master. Seen today, the painting anticipates an ecological sensitivity, a reminder that harmony is not dominion, but correspondence. By turning the emperor into a god of fruits, Arcimboldo also turns politics into botanical art. The portrait functions as a moral mirror, where power is measured by its ability to protect what gives life. That is why the work still moves us. Behind its visual wit and technical virtuosity lies a cosmic serenity, a prayer disguised as play. Each season that runs across the face, the flower that heralds, the grain that ripens, the fruit that falls, is a lesson on the eternal cycle and the humility required to understand it. Today, Vertumnus still looks at us with a vegetal smile. Its head made of fruits does not age because it represents what always returns. The rotation of the year, the balance between growth and decline, the promise of rebirth. Its beauty lies not in the portrait of an emperor but in the celebration of life that changes. Arcimboldo made artifice become truth and irony become wisdom. And so, when we leave the room where it hangs, we carry in our minds its silent teaching. Everything we are once blossomed in the earth, and sooner or later will return to it.